Hey, welcome to the Black Guy Who Tips podcast. I'm your host, Rod, joined as always by my co-host,
Karen.
and we are live on a Tuesday late night edition, doing some podcasting. Find us everywhere you find podcasts. Search the Black Guy Who Tips, and our podcast will come up. Leave us 5-star reviews. That's our favorite kind, and just make them nice. Okay, we don't like nasty, mean 5-star reviews.
So don't talk to me nicely.
Talk to us nicely. The official weapon of the show is the
Folding chair.
and the unofficial sport.
Bullet ball.
And bullet ball, extreme. Lots of stuff to talk about, but first I'll just ask, do you have any banter?
I do.
All right. Do you have any banter? Talk to me. Do you have any banter? Talk to me. Do you have any banter? Do you have any banter?
I do.
Talk to me. Banter. Talk to me. Do you have any banter?
I do.
All right, Karen.
My first thing is, this might be a thing. I don't know. I've just never have seen it before. Why we're in 2025 and people use pads and tampons. I've never seen a pad or tampon machine that doesn't require that requires coins, and I've never seen one where you can like tap to pay. All the machines are normally like on a wall or something like that, and it's normally like 25 cents, 50 cents. I was thinking a lot of people don't carry cash like and coins like on person. So if I'm somebody and I have an incident and I'm in the bathroom and I don't have change, how am I supposed to get your product? Like, and I'm wondering how many of those things do they actually sell? Because I'm thinking, y'all don't have something on this machine, something on this contraption that allows me to just boop and 50 cent, 25 cents, 75 cents, $1, whatever, and it just rolls out. Every single one I've seen in my lifetime. Like I said, y'all might be living in the future, but I've never seen one of these machines. And this if they even have them in the bathrooms anymore, that actually allow you to pay electronically. And it's very confusing because, in my personal opinion, those should be free in public restrooms, because things happen and everybody doesn't have the money, and sanitation, particularly menstrual sanitation, is extremely expensive. Men don't give a fuck because men don't have to pay for the shit, but it's expensive and it happens monthly and it happens consistently, and that shit adds up. It depends on your body and things like that. It's different, levels, different types you have to use and things like that. It's and I know it can be very frustrating, particularly for people that are unhoused or homeless. It could be very frustrating because just because you ain't got nowhere to live, it don't mean the shit don't happen to you just like everybody else.
So what is the name of the machine? Like, what's it called? I don't know anything about this because obviously they don't have them in most men's bathrooms.
I don't think they have like a machine. I don't think they have like a quote unquote brand of machine. It's just like when you go into most women's bathrooms, it's normally like bolted to a wall. And you'll see it like pads and tampons. So sometimes it's just.
I mean, you said it was a vending machine or something, though, right?
Well, it looks like a vending machine, but it's not actually a vending machine. It's set up similar to a vending machine. It's like you stack them in there and you twist at the bottom and it falls out. So that's why I said like a vending machine.
But they only take change.
Yes, they normally take change. It's like 50 cents, 75 cents, whatever. In my lifetime, I've never sin one where you can just tap to pay on them. And I was thinking about that the other day. Oh, dispenser, thank you. But in my mind, I'm like, well, if I'm somebody and I don't have the $5, and the thing is, I've been in some particularly some like fancy places where them shits is like candy. They everywhere. You can just go, and they're not locked up or anything like that. Then you go to other places and it's just like, you're gonna pay out of pocket for this.
Let's see. What was I gonna say? I don't know how to follow that. Anecdotally, Diddy's influence in hip hop media seems very apparent. From just my limited, like I said, anecdotally, I haven't done a study on this, but just from my limited search of articles and stuff for the show, I'm subscribed to, a few hip hop blogs just to get like the email that's like, here's the news of the day. And because he owned so much media like Revolt, and so many people were so friendly with him
And had all
and
these,
has so many ties in the industry,
right?
it is honestly a little bit disheartening and maybe even embarrassing to see the way a lot of black publications are covering the Diddy trial. Like, I said this on my Facebook, and I was like, it's kind of sad to see how they're like in the bag, and I know that a lot of these blogs, no matter how much affection people have for the mess and the shit on them, I've really soured on them in the last few years, mostly because I saw the disinformation they peddled for Trump and during the conspiracies they promoted and stuff, because ultimately they don't give a fuck about us as people. And they are there for what gets clicks. They're not there for what helps the community. And so spreading transphobia by showing like Dwayne Wade's child, and being like, and knowing that people are going to be transphobic in the comments and just kind of allowing it because, hey, people are clicking and they're arguing in the comments, but every time they argue, that's more views for me.
Agreed.
The vaccine information, giving Trump credit for stimulus checks, like I've seen it all. So it's not that I hold these places in high esteem, but that this is the news for black people in many cases, or for hip hop culture in many cases. And a lot of times, they're a reflection of the culture. Many of the men in hip hop and that are rappers and bloggers and talkers and whatever have a lot of misogyny. So it's not like I expect the blogs to be better than academics, Joe Budden and Charlemagne, the people that are like bigger than, the biggest voices in hip hop media. But it is a little disheartening to see like how obvious the spin is. Like, they'll cover something from the Diddy trial as if it favors Diddy and then skip other stuff. So like today, I think it was like Diddy's assistant was testifying in the courtroom, and she talked about, abuse and being kidnapped and watching him abuse Cassie and stuff like that. And then when you go look at like the headline from All Hip Hop, it's Diddy was strapped over problem with 50 Cent, according to ex-assistant. Now, that may be a thing she talked about, but in this case about Cassie, the headline would probably be something about how his assistant said she was kidnapped, how she said he had a gun and was threatening to go kill Kid Cudi, how he didn't pay her, how he abused her, how he locked her in a hotel room, or in a room at one point for 5 days and make her take lie detector tests to see if she had stolen some jewelry from him and threatened to kill her and throw her in the East River, stuff like that, right? You would think this would be the headline, and instead it's some like bullshit. And I know people go, well, this is just one article. Guys, I've been looking at these articles for like weeks now to cover on the show, and it's like I go to the AP to get my news about Diddy and shit, because so much of the salacious details are the ones that they're deciding to cover are just crafted in a way that's like, it almost lightens the case. Like, oh, Diddy's assistant says he had bottles of baby oil and cameras in a bag. And I'm like, well, okay, but that's not what the like, I think if you were covering something, he kicked Cassie while she was in the fetal position several times in front of me would be a bigger headline than, ooh, he's a freak, and it's just, it's not funny, but it's just one of those like, man, it's really sad. And I've seen, other blog spaces and stuff kind of cover it similarly. And I mean, he's in jail, now maybe they think he's going to get out, and they're like, when he gets back, he's going to assert control of the media with an iron fist. And we don't want to be the blog that, said anything bad about him. It could be that simple, but man, it was really, really disheartening.
Yeah, I could see that. And also, this, in my opinion, I will continue to say this is what happens when the media is not for education, the media becomes entertainment. This is what happens when people don't want to pay for news. They don't want to pay, and they expect everything to be free. Well, these platforms still have to make money in order to exist. So, particularly as everything shifted from offline to online, the requirements lowered, because it was like, hey, we are here in the wild west, which is the internet, and everybody's trying to learn, and everybody wants everything for free, and nobody wants to pay for anything online.
Well, I think it's not just paying, right? Because like the AP is covering it differently. The thing that and I think this trial is so salacious, they can get clicks by saying what happened. Like, I don't think they were making a decision and said, you know what the biggest, most interesting detail is? He had a gun in case 50 Cent ran up on him. I'm pretty sure if you ran a headline, he kicked Cassie in front of Usher at a birthday party, it's probably gonna get some clicks. Like, it's like, I don't think people are like, I ain't clicking on that. I think they are 100% making an editorial decision to not be too damning to him. Meanwhile, there are places that I do know do shit just for the clicks, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the New York Post, which I also subscribe to them, and they'll send out an email. Diddy's exorcist. I was just looking at one. Diddy's Sean Diddy Combs' exorcist tells jury mogul kidnapped her to help kill Cudi. They're not. This is the New York Daily News is not some like, man, we're just a bastion of journalism. They want clicks. They know that will get clicks. So I think these blogs are actually foregoing clicks to be like, we don't want to look like we going in on Diddy. Now maybe they're afraid of their comment section, because they got, when you build a brand on like this weird ass like black conspiracy weird shit
not based in reality.
When you build a brand on that, when you build a brand on discrediting Megan Thee Stallion,
right?
When you build a brand on discrediting Cassie, discrediting victims of people, when you build a brand like that, or the people that run you ultimately at the top either have relationships with or are abusers themselves, I feel like you create a comment section that is ready to go off on you, like, why we always sharing the negative about the. And so people don't want to deal with that smoke. So maybe they're just not publishing it for that reason too. I don't know, but it's a sad state of affairs.
Yeah, and I think it's a collaboration of things. You did bring up a good point to where, like you said, you've cultivated this audience, and your audience is a reflection of you. So if you consistently putting trash out there, you're gonna have a trash ass audience and right. base and shit like that. You're gonna have a very homophobic, a very misogynistic fan base of people that abuse people and all types of shit. And so the thing is, and you're gonna have enough food mining where people are like, don't be talking about no black man, period. That's some people's point, and they have no critical thinking skills beyond that point. They don't give a fuck about what Diddy did. Right. They're a black man, he's a black man, so I gotta defend him. I don't give a fuck about what kind of abuse that he did to our own community that I claim that I love and I care about. Bitch, you don't. Right. And so I do agree with you to where, like you said, any other time that shit, I agree with you. Any other time that shit would have been front page, blasting everywhere, and it'd have been the shit that everybody would have been talking about. But like you say, because of his influence, because of his ties, because of his relationships, he's been doing this shit with 30, 40 years, whatever, like for a long ass time. And so people don't want to lose access, not only access to him, access to people that fuck with him or have relationships with him and shit like that too. It's like, we don't want to lose access to other people. And it might not just be him, but like we just don't want to lose access.
I don't know if it's supposed to be like some black solidarity. I don't know if it's supposed to be we covering for this man. All I know is that it's a real sad coverage of it. And like I said, it's so obviously slanted towards let's give almost his perspective, or just the most non-damning perspective on Diddy in these headlines. Another one, freak off sex worker, the Punisher breaks silence, thinks he helped Diddy with testimony. Exclusive, Diddy's lawyer snap on expert witness, want junk science testimony tossed. You know what I'm saying? Like, right. Those are headlines that make it seem like Another thing they'll publish, I saw a lot of times over the last 6 months looking at different publications that were hip hop based. A win for Diddy as this is thrown out, or as women do have to say their name, but not, they won't like cover the losses for Diddy that are obvious as well. So it's just something I've been noticing. Some other people said they noticed it too, and I saw them say stuff like, "I'm gonna, this is why I go to TikTok to get my coverage, or Twitter," and I'm like, I just want to go to like the AP or USA Today. I really would like journalists who have sources, who talk to people, who have editors. Right. I really prefer their coverage of it, because even these bloggers and stuff, a lot of them are clout chasing. A lot of them aren't experts. A lot of them don't really have any insight into anything. And the trial is open to the public. So if you want to wait in line long enough, you can get in there, get in the overflow room and say, "Hey, I was at the trial."
Right.
But that's not the same as, to me, being an expert who's covering it.
Yeah, and in my opinion, and maybe this is the way I view it, what's so fucked up, the way that they're doing this a lot of times is the way a lot of white media cover shit about white people. And some of these same hip hop articles and shit like that would be outraged, be going, "Why ain't y'all telling the truth? Why aren't y'all coming out with all the details? Like would he listen to you talk?" So it's just the reverse of that. It's still wrong. My thing is, I am in the type of, I want facts. I don't want shit filtered. I don't want shit slanted. Who, what, when, where, why, and how. Report. Yeah. And so I'm like you, when it comes to it, I want a real source. I don't mean no harm, like the TikTokers, child, them people ain't no expert. Most of them don't have degrees and they're not experts in something. Yeah. And so my thing is, I want facts so that when these things come out, you can listen and make educated decisions based off on what really happened, and it's not being filtered, and you're not actually getting the truth, or everything is slanted, because the thing is, slanted news also starts this conspiracy theory bullshit, because you're not actually getting the truth.
Your turn.
Okay. My next one is, hold on one second, my phone shut down. My next one is, me and Rondrick went to an AMC, and child, I don't like a ghetto ass AMC. And when I mean ghetto ass,
AMC movie theaters.
Yeah, y'all. AMC movie theaters. I don't like an AMC movie theater where seats don't move. Me and Roger went to the movie theaters and the seat didn't move, and I had to sit up straight. I was like, "Bitch, I gotta sit up straight the whole movie theater. What is this?" I couldn't move. I couldn't recline. I guess I'm bougie, because I was looking at them like, "Ooh, child, the ghetto. And it was like a 3-hour movie. I was like, "What the hell is this?" It bothered me. That's something. It bothered me.
No, that's valid. I definitely thought it was like, I was not used to that. I thought we had done away with those.
Right.
I thought AMC had basically went and refurbished all their theaters, and I thought that was one of the newer ones. I thought they had refurbished all of their theaters. We went to AMC Northlake, for those in Charlotte that care. I thought maybe it was just that room or whatever, but it was IMAX. So you would have thought like IMAX is where you get all the best seats and all that stuff. But yeah, you're right. It was not. It didn't even like recline. The feet part didn't come up. I don't even really use that thing that often, but I definitely noticed that they didn't have it.
Yeah, I do, because it's just more comfortable.
A lot of people use it. Yeah. Most people do.
And so, we sat down. I was looking, and then I realized, oh, this is just like a regular ass old school movie seat. And I should have known. Not that funny. I should have known something was wrong when I walked in there, and it was more seats than average, because a lot of times those cushy seats, they actually are less seats like in the theater compared to like the old school. And I was like, damn, there's a lot of seats in here. And something should have triggered, like, it's a lot of seats in here, because the seats are like half the size, so they can pack bitches in here like they used to back in the day. But I'm like, no, I like the space. This is not I'm not paying dollar theater prices. So, this is not the, I like the space, because now you're not like up on somebody with like an inch room and shit like that, with a cup holder. Now I'm used to the plushness. And so, things like that. And also when we went in, everything went forward, and the people at the counter that was doing your popcorn was also the people that was scanning your tickets. I was like, oh, okay, this is what
Well,
we doing.
that was different. That was because we came to a special showing that started at 2
Okay.
on a Thursday instead of 4 o'clock like they normally do. So I think we were there earlier than they are used to having ticket taker people. When we left, they were there.
Okay.
At any rate, though, I definitely feel you. I did. That was not an enjoyable experience.
Mm-mm.
I saw a trailer for a movie. I think it was like Freaky Friday or Freakier Friday. I think is what it was called. And Lindsay Lohan was in it.
Okay.
And I went and looked up her like IMDb because I feel like I've been seeing her a few places lately.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed she had stopped, she went through some stuff mentally and all this stuff.
She had stopped acting at one point.
She had stopped acting so much. Like I saw like 2000 1995, 2000, 2004, 2000, IMDb is like work. And then at some point, of course, it like slowed down, pretty tremendously where she was doing like less than a project a year. Like in 2014, she did 2 movies. 2015, she did 2 movies. And then 2018, she did a TV show, like it was just, and then 2019, one thing, 2021, one thing, 2022, 2 things. And now in 2023 and 2024, she's done like 7 or 8 projects. And I just want to know, are we calling it a Lindsay Lohannessaince yet? Because I feel like she done came back, y'all. I feel like the Lindsay Lohannessaince, I'm here for it. I feel like it has begun. And I think we need to coin this if no one else has done it yet. Because, we love to see it. I think a lot of us were rooting for her.
I was.
When she was going through it. So I'm here for the Lindsay Lohannessaince. And I wonder if we'll see the, I might even go see Freakier Friday. I don't know.
Oh, that's a good one. I call myself, I bought some floss. And I've never had this happen to me before. Normally, regular floss is like thin, like really thin, wiry. And I don't like it because you have, in my opinion, with regular floss, you have to work so fucking hard to get in between your teeth because it's so thin. Because some of my teeth have like a little bit of space in them. So I get like thicker floss so that I can actually get in between my teeth and actually get a lot of the crap out in between my teeth in like 1 or 2 swipes versus me like digging to the left, digging to the right, like all that fucking digging. To me, this is too time consuming. And so I don't know how I did this, but I bought some floss, some thick floss, and baby, I've never had floss that felt like plastic. I was like, okay, and I put it in my teeth, baby, and it was just like rubber, like plastic in my teeth. It was the worst floss I've ever had in my life. It wasn't comfortable, and I threw that bitch in the trash. I was like, who wants to floss their teeth with plastic? This is terrible. You ought to be ashamed of yourself, floss people. Don't nobody want to floss with plastic. Like it was a plastic bag. Get out of here.
I haven't had that issue. Was it cheap floss or something? Where'd you get it from?
I ordered it online because I like the glide. Is it glide or glade? Glide floss because it's thicker and then it you don't have to, it glides between your teeth easier, so you're not fighting on hard. And so I'm like,
was it glide or is it something different? Why is it different than the floss you had before? Is my question.
And one was called like, I think that one was called like the regular one, and then one was like some kind of deep, like deep thing, whatever, like deep floss. And so the regular one, it just felt like I took a plastic bag and was trying to floss with it. It was terrible, and I don't know why. You ought to be ashamed of yourself.
I don't know what is being lost in the question I'm asking.
Okay, I'm sorry.
But why, like, was it a reason you bought a different one if you already liked the one you had?
I bought it by mistake. I thought I was because they both was like we thick floss. So I just bought it thinking it was like regular ass thick floss, like the normal one I normally find. And I guess
it was the same brand or is it a different brand? Is my question.
It was the same brand,
just a different type of thick floss.
Yeah, and I did not realize that people like to floss their teeth with plastic bags. Shame on you. That's a terrible idea. It was nasty tasting, and nobody wants to floss with a plastic bag.
Okay, understood. Now that I think about it, I'm not sure what Blackberry Molasses had to do with anything that them little kids were singing about in that song.
I was an adult when I found out what molasses was, because my mama used
I know what Blackberry Molasses is.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what the song's about?
No, it's not.
It's not like ingredients or how to cook it or how to make it.
No.
And I don't know when the last time you heard that song, but that song is fucking depressing.
And
I don't mean because it sounds sad. Like everybody knows it sounds sad. That don't mean shit. I'm talking about this 10-year-old in 1996 in this group, Mr. There's no way he wrote this song. 10-year-olds don't think like that.
If a 10-year-old thinking like that, god damn, baby, what you been through?
Like, this song sounds like it's about suicide. It's an old Negro spiritual type song. It's very like what was going on in this little boy's life, and why didn't we put him in some sort of like oversight from like a foster care person, send social services out to his house, welfare check, something.
That baby got adult problems at 10.
Woke up Sunday morning, got a little bad news today. They say my life ain't worth living and time is slowly ticking away. Nigga, you are 12. What? And who is giving you that bad news?
What kind of bad news you got? I gotta see today? The fuck is this?
Hey, your life ain't worth living. News alert, breaking news. Don't think I'm going crazy because thoughts keep running through my head. I know I gotta be strong, gotta hold on. Sometimes I'd rather give up instead. Sometimes seems like I'm better off dead. That is suicidal ideation.
Yeah,
they had this little kid singing this shit.
Some adult was going through something and was like, baby, sing this song.
And the chorus is Blackberry Molasses, one of the things that never change. What do you mean never change? It's got to get better than this.
I hope so, baby. I hope you found peace when you got older.
Them little boys was not living this kind of life.
Right. That baby sound like he had working bills, had a 401k, and worked for the union. The hell is this?
Don't tell me how to live my life after all that we've been through. Don't want to live out your hardships because I've been there myself a time or two. A time or two already?
Woo! What kind of life have you lived, baby?
So many things you'll survive once you realize there's no such place as paradise, at least in my eyes. And then the rest of the chorus is just singing Blackberry Molasses. Mm-hmm. That's the rest of the fucking song. Yes, is just Blackberry Molasses.
That's the rest of the song.
Why did they let this happen?
Right.
This is not okay.
It is not okay for kids to be singing this song.
Is Mr. still with us, the group?
I doubt it. Like, that was probably their only hit.
I mean, I'm worried these kids, did they just drive the tour bus off the side of a fucking
Cliff, what's happening
a bridge? Here? They're like, y'all, we was crying out for help the whole time. Y'all didn't know?
Nobody paid us any attention.
Listen to the words.
We telling you we need help.
We was up there with City High as far as depressing songs go, and y'all just laughed. Y'all just thought it was so funny. Yeah, they got a picture on Facebook. Let me see if I can share it with y'all. Mr. was an American R&B group, blah, blah, blah. And then look at these kids. These are babies.
Yeah, they was children.
Ironically, when they grew up, they I'd say a good 2 or 3 out of the 4 look like the song applies.
And they done been through some shit.
That is, I don't even remember what made me listen to this song. I think I just couldn't get out of my head one day. And then I was just like, wait a minute. Were those children singing this shit? What is happening with people? But yeah, so that was my last thing.
No problem. My last thing, it's kind of bittersweet. One of my family members had called me the other day, and they thought they have a slight form of dementia, and they thought they was talking to my mama, my aunt that raised me. And I just talked to them like normal and had a great time with them, and was glad to hear their voice. But I just let them talk. I didn't stress them out. I just went with the flow. Wherever they took the conversation as well, I took the conversation. And it was just wonderful just to sit in and talk with them. And I put it online. I was like, I didn't want to stress them out or be like, no, you got the wrong person. It's not me. And stuff like that.
You know what's interesting is I've heard you're not supposed to do that. So I don't even know what the rules are for that. But I've seen people say like, no, you are supposed to correct them, and you're not supposed to just go along because it adds to the confusion and all this stuff. I really don't know what the answer is on that, but it's just to me it's just one of those unfortunate things, and I don't know how you handle it. And obviously you're on the phone, you're far away,
right?
So, but I don't know why you are supposed to. I don't know. I don't know enough about it.
And it varies per person, but I know I'm not doing that. To me, it's not worth everybody getting frustrated, them getting frustrated, me getting to me, it's my personal opinion. It's not worth the correction.
Yeah.
Particularly dealing with people like that, because a lot of times it's a reset. Because my mama had dementia. It's a reset. They remember things sometimes they don't. You never know where they're going to be. And my thing is, I want to enjoy the moment with my family member. Who wants to be fussing with somebody? Mm-hmm. Even if they made an error, they make mistakes. It's like, don't nobody want me fussing and hollering and yelling at you. And you don't want it either. And so, in my opinion. And so for me, it was just really, really good just to hear their voice and just to talk to them. And so I had called my mama and I was like, Mama, I just want you to know your brother called me by any error, just in case, somebody said something about, him calling me. I just wanted her to be informed. But it was, like I said, it was a very happy time because, this particular family member, they don't really call me that often. So that's why I was like, oh, you calling for my mama. And when we was talking, they never used my name.
Right. So you don't know that they didn't know it was you, or you just suspect they didn't know?
I'm suspecting they didn't know. They assumed that the person that picked up was my mama. Right. Just because of the way they was talking and all that stuff.
Well, I did look it up while we were talking. Alzheimer's.org.uk does say not to correct them. So it says you don't have to correct every mistaken belief. It also said you don't need to remind them like your brother died 10 years ago. Try not to get frustrated and say stuff like I just told you that. So there you go. You did good.
Yeah, and so and I think I did too.
Yeah, I just didn't know the rules, and I was like hoping, honestly, when you start talking and bringing this up on the show, I'm like, please, God, don't let some motherfucker write in and then be like, I don't know what Karen was doing, because then it's gonna be ugly. But it sounds like this is the advice that people are giving that are professionals,
right? And particularly with my biological mama, before she passed, my mama's sister, before my aunt's my mama's sister, before she passed, she went through these phases, and so that's kind of how I got adjusted to it, because she would call and sometimes she would know exactly who I am. And then sometimes she would think I was her sister and things like that. And so for me, I've just realized life is too short. And so why am I fussing at you? Why am I raising my blood pressure? For what? For who? For why? You're talking to somebody who isn't like their brain isn't normally functioning. And so for me, you just adapt and adjust. And like I said, and enjoy the moment. You do not know if it's going to be your last. And last thing you want to remember is fussing with this person.
Yeah,
particularly if they're a family member or a loved one. So I just I thought about that one.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And that's, I think, like I said, that seems like the way that they want people to handle it. All right, so this is not really a random but a banter thing, but it's been, well, I guess kind of is banter, but there's this dude that's been going viral on social media lately with his podcast, Grits and Eggs. I've listened to a couple of episodes. I think it's pretty cool. Whenever I see clips, I always think he's spitting good shit. Mm-hmm. But when I listen to him, I also am like, it reminds me a lot of just things we've talked about on the show. It reminds me a lot of things I've talked about that we've read. Not that I agree with every single thing. No one can agree with everybody's whatever if you have a podcast.
Right.
So it's not that, but his name is Deontay Kyle, and I mean his show's blowing up. Like he's really good at these clips. They sharing on social media, like like it's going viral all the time. It's him and a couple other people that I see kind of like blowing up in that lane, which I'm very happy for them, and rooting for those dudes, because I feel like we do need people like this, and I feel like not enough people are like this. And there's a social pressure as a black man to like, you need to conform, you need to be quiet, don't say it that way, you hurt my feelings,
right?
Sometimes
fuck your feelings.
Sometimes black men themselves will, and I'm not saying fuck your feelings, I just want to be clear, but sometimes black men themselves will weaponize hurt feelings in the way that like a white woman will do sometimes, where it's like, well, you didn't say it right, like RG3 just did. RG3 is like, you didn't say it right, so you need to apologize.
And what's considered right.
Yeah, and Ryan Clark did apologize, right? So he had this clip that went viral, and it was one of those things where like I felt this coming, this moment, because I remember when I tweeted black men are the white people of black people, and the reaction to that, and just I remember arguing with niggas and shit, and that, which is in hindsight is mostly embarrassing of just how much I let it get to me, the amount of pushback and trying to explain it to people and convince them like I'm not a bad person, I just think of this, and not what I'm really talking about is male privilege, even within a group that is oppressed, and blah blah blah. And it just wasn't worth it, mostly because it wasn't worth the mental headache for me. Not that I disagree with the sentiment, I might phrase it differently, but privilege of patriarchal privilege is a real thing, even if it is not a one-to-one. Like, I'm not calling you white, I'm not saying you're a white person, but motherfuckers, when they can weaponize they hurt feelings, there was people making blogs about me. Somebody left a ominous comment on a picture with me and my niece.
I remember that.
Right. So it was like basically I've been on the side of the object to these people, like the person they're deciding to target. I just realized it might not. Let me know if this plays the audio, guys. Okay, I'm gonna stop it right there. Did it play the audio this time? If not, I'll switch it to a different app, a different browser, because
no, they can't hear it.
Okay, yeah, it's been doing that lately.
And like you say, I'm like this. When it comes to things like this, I guess my thing is, if people are determined to be offended, there's nothing you can do, nothing you can say. There's no way you can phrase it to make them change their minds. And so that's why I say, for some of them people, fuck your feelings, because it does not matter.
I was not saying you can't say that. I was clarifying that that's not my stance. I'm not a fuck the feelings of black men person. Like, I think the part of the gender war thing is to make us all feel like paint with broad swaths, forget our real lived experiences, forget the outliers. The outliers become the norm. And then the hyperbole becomes what gets the most like response. So you're saying things in a way that's hyperbolic. My goal is always to communicate clearly and authentically. And so that's why I would like, there are niggas that I feel like fuck their feelings for sure. But at this point, when we were just talking, we weren't just talking only about them, but just in general.
Yes.
Like, no, I do understand your feelings are valid. They matter. It does matter how people talk to you. It does matter. No one, period, likes to be talked down to as a group while people are expecting something from them.
Agreed.
Period.
Agreed.
So that's the only reason. I wasn't correcting you or whatever, just saying, okay, you can feel that way, other people can feel that way. When I said that, I wasn't thinking, fuck y'all feelings. I was thinking to myself, like, no, y'all understand what I'm saying, right? like we've all experienced this as men. There's certain things in our community that aren't okay, and if we're gonna have this patriarchal privilege, we should also be using it to protect each other, to look out not just for women, not just for children, not just for LGBTQ people in the community, but also your fellow straight black men could use a little love and kindness too. Like it's not just a I'm shitting on us type of thing. But anyway, so he put this out. It's 3 minutes. I don't know if I played the whole thing, but obviously you can guess the response after you hear this.
The final frontier for us in this community, we have a host of issues. But our biggest issue is this perceived gender war, because it divides us in half. It literally splits us right down the middle. Black men, the qualities that you have that will make you a success in the street, a success in athletics, will also make you a success in education. But we have to get it quick. And I get it. Women ain't gonna fuck with us if we don't got the money. If you put the phone down, all your information, first of all, let's just be honest about this. All of the information you're receiving from the world via the internet is being pushed to you through an algorithm, not the natural path of things. Your mentality is not the same mentality as mine, because I got my experience in the world with actual people. So I know the shit that you're saying just isn't true. And if a girl your age is trying to tell you to get money and do all these things, she's receiving the same information as you. You're both being lied to. And you're both believing in the lie. And the lie is being reinforced by the music, and the lie is being reinforced by the algorithm.
Now, one thing I'll say too, it actually sounds like he's talking to younger people, not necessarily even his peer group, even though a lot of the people I saw who took offense were people in the peer group. Also, because it is the internet, when you say stuff like this, those people you're talking about it'll get back to them.
Oh yeah.
And those people aren't going to be reasonable.
No.
If you've been red pilled, if you've been if you're one of these people with the free Tory Lanez ass people and shit like that, you're not gonna receive this in a genuine way. You're like, oh, here come this pandering ass lame, blah blah blah.
No matter how soft, no matter how gentle.
Yeah.
And so it's a small percentage of people. You go, okay, I can't be worried about you.
Yeah. You should never let them dictate how you communicate.
Agreed.
Like I said, I try to communicate honestly, authentically, and to be understood. I don't try to communicate with just like trying to be like angry and rah and get the most likes and retweets, because I realize that's not who I am.
Right. And that's not the foundation of you.
I always try to be me. So I need to be comfortable with everything I said in hindsight, to be like, that was exactly what I meant.
Right.
And that was a lesson I had to learn, because I felt like the algorithm and the internet and social media was definitely fixating my language. It was warping it towards a certain way, because that's what I was seeing around me, and I was like, oh, that's how you have to talk. But I don't believe in that thing, you know. It's like when people do the blank are trash, you know, white people are trash, men are trash, such and such is trash. And I remember thinking one day, like, because I forget who I was talking to, but they was like, because, you know, we all know, you know, white people trash or whatever, or such and such is trash. And I was thinking, like, actually, man, I don't really believe people are trash. Like, I don't believe they have to be like trash, irredeemable, whether you call them recyclables, whatever. I actually don't need a broad sweeping term for humans. I hear what you're saying, and I'm not telling you can't talk like that, but I'm good. I don't need to communicate it in that way.
Agreed.
This phenomenon of men, of women only seeking men for money, is a very new concept. My parents was married. My dad was broke. First of all, what's up with this black community that we've had to overcome all this financial poverty, but we only will get with men if they got money? That doesn't make sense, nigga. How were you born? If we've always been financially in this country in last place, but our women will only fuck with niggas who got money, how are any of us here? How? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense, because they want you to aspire to degeneracy. And now you're seeking equity and degeneracy. Got to get your mind right, man. All this shit is systemic. The algorithm is being pushed to you to push an agenda. Because the second that you start hating women and you start getting into that red pill content, all the white red pill niggas are also racist. You think that's a mistake? They're trying to push you into conservatism. Because the more conservative you are, the more likely you are to fall for religious dogma and to follow orders blindly. And then you might as well just go ahead and call yourself MAGA. You don't question authority. You exalt people just because they have money. You think because they have money that they're more intelligent than you.
So it's very funny because this is low key, I guess, hockey. What I was talking about when I was talking about food mining. Like, he's just saying it in a different way, but
yeah, it's the same concept.
It's the same concept. Like, it's the slippery slope of like, yes, we got you on the fact that we can get you because you hate women.
Mm-hmm.
So we can get you to start saying certain things that just lead you down that pathway. And the next thing you know, you're over here telling me, Andrew Schultz ain't that bad, or, like whatever, maybe comedy's your way in. And now some of these conservative ideas that people are pitching, they're not that bad. Or the real problem is the Democrats, or the real problem is the social media, or the people saying don't call people the R word, or what. It's something other. That's the kind of shit they say over there. Mm-hmm. But it's something other than these people that are causing the issues. I've seen it, ironically, us talking about this, thinking about the Shade Room and some of these blogs where they're hip-hop blogs, but you look up and they're covering things with a right-wing slant. And it's like, because you're so addicted to calling Zara Wade misgendering her, because you're addicted to that, the next article is Donald Trump gave us stimulus checks, Joe Biden didn't do anything. That's the next article on that page. The article after that is going to be some, they trying to cancel such and such. And like, it just don't take much before you're over there. And that's all they care about, is getting you over there, and you'll do the rest.
Yeah, that's all they care about. And also the thing is, and this is me on the outside looking in, and anybody that actually stands for anything and like, actually, hey y'all, what's going on here? Like, they looking around and they're realizing that there's something wrong with the system and things like that. That is a very lonely road, and people don't want to admit. Most people don't go that route because they like the peer, being accepted by peers. They don't like being called out. They don't like their manhood being questioned, and a lot of men go into homosexuality and all this stuff. The second you got feelings, all of a sudden, you acting like a bitch, and shit like that, versus the reality is that might not be you. And so a lot of men will actually, and what's so sad, it takes men, from my perspective, it takes men getting older, like much, much older, before they start speaking out and before they start actually, bro, I love you, and hugging their friend. Like it takes years of fucking deprogramming for you realize I'm a full ass fucking human being. I can actually cry. I can love my wife. I can love my kids. It don't make me a bitch. You know what I'm saying? To actually be this thing. But some people just have that peer pressure, and everybody has it. But if you're like, I don't want to do that, this is wrong, y'all, I'm not following the group, you are ostracized. And nobody wants to be ostracized. So this is the biggest reason why most people don't do that bullshit.
Yeah, I think also he put out another one that, this is the one I saw that made people pissed. But that was like the general tenor of his podcast or something like that. It's like it's anecdotal. It's, it's his life. It's his opinion. It's not necessarily scientific. He didn't go out and do a poll or whatever, but it's like, if you can relate to it, you can relate to it. When these other dudes are doing shows and they're, coming down hard on women and shit like that, there's the level of outrage from this same group of dudes is not going to be there. But here's what he talked about. He talked about intersectionality and accountability.
Harass women. You may know how to take rejection. The majority of men that most women deal with do not.
Yeah.
And you are accountable for that as well. Because I don't got time to figure out which white people are nice, which white people aren't racist or
Mm-hmm.
I have to go on the actions of the group.
Right.
The group as a whole and the history of that group as a whole tells me that they are a danger to me and they are not to be trusted.
Right.
And if you can understand that as a black man and your stance towards white people, then you should absolutely be able to understand women's stance towards you.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a war on you waged by women. Actually, the war get a little thicker when we start talking about it from the perspective of a woman and the greater society of racism and white supremacy being waged against black people, and then the patriarchal society being waged against women. So they have to deal with two elements. One of those elements we don't have to think about, and honestly, we're perpetuated.
Mm-hmm.
And it's perpetuated against us young to look at women as objects,
right?
You know, to look at women only through the lens of a sexual desire and not as the human being that they are. And when you understand how to deal with women on a human level, you understand how much women will enrich your life.
Mm. Amen.
And I just want you to know, this got 4.8 million views, but there's like a lot of people acting like what he's saying is crazy. There are people, of course, who shared it that agree.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people will, you know, and honestly, it was kind of cool to see people finally share somebody that was talking sense the way they would share somebody that was saying something fucking insane. Like if Joe Budden was yelling at Melissa Ford on his podcast, like that shit gets 5 million views. And it's like, he's wrong for that or whatever. But to see somebody be like, you know, because they're always like, where are the men that are talking like this? But they're not going viral. They're not sharing their podcast. They're not showing their clips and stuff like that. So it was like, that's what's been refreshing. There's some level of balance. But unfortunately, with that balance comes people pushing back, right? Because they're so used to being served it one way.
Yes.
You know, I've talked about these things in depth on our show before with he said white people, but my comparison was the police. Because the police have a certain level of authority. Now, police are supposed to help you, right? I'm a man, I'm in your community. I'm part of your community. If you need something, you should be able to go to me. But the fact that every once in a while, one of these cops is hitting you upside the head, or one of these cops is doing, and I just tell you like, well, he's not a real cop. Oh, no, he's a bad apple or whatever. Okay, well, another cop is a rapist, and another cop is stealing money, and another cop is, eventually it's like, the cops are not to be trusted. And what do? We don't go, I need help, officer. We start thinking like, maybe I just try to solve this without the cops. Right. And I feel like that's the same sort of analogy. Like, I don't have time. A woman's not gonna have time for all that. Well, you supposed to be a good dude, but damn, I guess not. Like, if they can do it, as you see many women say, if I can just do it by myself, I'll just do it by myself. I don't need no man. They didn't wake up and say, I hate men. Like, things happen to make people get to that point. Yes, it may be exaggerated on the internet. It may be exacerbated by social media. I definitely understand that people's real lives don't always align with what's happening online.
Agreed.
But also, we respond to the most extremes of these things. So people, it's not necessarily a conversation that is being had about like the general middle of the road experience. Because if you anecdotally sit down and talk to like most women, they're gonna tell you like, no, I have men in my life that have helped me and been nothing but kind to me, but I've also had some shit men in my life that have fucked me over and done all kinds of shit. So like, both things have existed. I know that when I walk out the house, I know that it's not just all one way, but I'm also just not taking a lot of chances, you know?
Right. And also, a lot of men think that women are not complex creatures, and we're very complex. Probably in some situations more complex than the men are. When it comes to like situations and navigating things. And so a lot of times, like you say, when people come up with these strategies and these ways that they, particularly women, the ways they navigate life, like you say, it didn't happen out of nowhere, and it happened from personal experience. And a lot of times, because a lot of men don't look at women, like he said, like a full-fledged human being, it's like, well, she's treating me like this and she's doing this, instead of asking why, or instead of saying, I might not be meeting whatever her standards are and things like that. And a lot of times, a lot of self-reflection and shit like that. And people in general don't like to self-reflect. But a lot of men, particularly with egos, everybody has them, but particularly with men, egos, they don't like to self-reflect and be like, hey, I might need to change things, or I might not be might be looking at this different, or I might be wrong, or whatever the case may
I think
be.
a lot of it is just the conversation is happening in a place where people are very defensive.
Yes.
Like there's not trust in the community, and there's definitely not trust online and social media. So like when people see this clip, they're going to take it as an attack on Black men. They're not going to take it as this is a brother who cares about us as a total sum of all our people, and he is just encouraging us. And the reason I'm saying this because I've been here.
Right.
I've said this and then dealt with the backlash and the nigga shitting on me and some nigga named like Mr. Dr. Hotep or some shit doing a video with my picture in front of the house he probably lives in with his white wife. Like I remember that kind of shit, and like that was years ago, and it's sad, but how we haven't come much further because to me, this guy's not doing an attack. I understand people who are like, so y'all telling me as a Black man, when people attack us, we just got to sit there and be like, I'm not like them niggas. No, I get it. If someone were to say all Black men are rapists and you were like, fuck you, that's not true, I totally understand that. But that's not what's happening here. Even framing this as an attack on you says a lot about what your sensibilities are. And there are going to be men who will take this guy as attacking them. And that part is sad. You know, I remember, it's just sad.
Amen.
You want to turn it up a notch?
Yeah.
Get you a good woman get you a good Black woman in your corner.
Amen.
Hey, man, you want to see your life turn up?
Hey.
And see, this is the thing, though. It's a privilege, bro. It's a privilege. You know what I'm saying? We often disregard the power of our Black women. The spiritual essence that they're gonna bring to things, the knowing, the seeing, you know what I'm saying? Also, too, imagine it. They have to be hyper vigilant because they have to be constantly scanning the room, making sure that they're in a safe situation.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? When we think about these kids who were clearly in Louisiana having the time of their fucking life because they graduated, and we think about white people's reaction to Black joy.
Oh yeah, that's
it's not about civility. It's not about decorum. They don't like to see us happy.
That's what it is.
Now, how often are women just having a good time and here come a nigga trying to ruin their fun?
Yeah.
Let's just be honest. You can call it pandering, but if I was up here caping for white women, you wouldn't even mention that word. If I was up here caping for Hispanic women, you wouldn't even call it pandering. Only when we take pride and show love to Black women do you call it pandering. Get your motherfucking mind right. Use your cabeza.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's facts. It's also it reminds me of that incident where there were Black women on a train and like they were taking a wine tour and they got kicked off the train, and it was like everybody turned into, because Black women, they be loud, and they was probably in there doing this and this. And I'm like, well, the women said they weren't. They're suing. like they didn't get off and just go like, I'm embarrassed. But it was so easy to believe these Black women deserved whatever happened to them. Even as they were saying, no, this was racial discrimination. We weren't doing anything that anyone else on the train wasn't doing. It just reminds me of those things anecdotally. Like I just think of those small things because it is so easy to just boom, it's y'all's fault. And true to form, as he said, they are calling him pandering. They are attacking his credibility. They are calling him an op. They are saying the government sent him here to. He's talking about the gender war divide and trying to bridge it and say, hey, there's accountability we can have on our side if we just handle our shit as men. And they're like, clearly this man is a CIA plant. This is the podcast mics we need to get rid of, not the not the people doing those. These are the people. Yeah, not the Thoughts podcast and the what would you do if your woman came home and she, not those shows. That we need to get rid of him. It's crazy.
Right. And going back and sitting and thinking also, and also when you're dealing with people that are in the matrix, they don't like to hear the truth. And those people will never admit at the end of the day, they like being in the matrix and they like taking the red pill, even though they know the shit ain't real, even though some of them know. They know the algorithms tell, like, some people are over there and they absolutely, positively, they know. Some people, you do have some people that got tricked and be like, hey, wait a minute, I'm in the matrix. But some people go, no, I wake up every day. I know this is bullshit. They know this is bullshit. I decide to drink this fake orange juice because this is where the fuck I like to be.
Yeah, and it's easier to believe that kind of shit than to sit back with, like complex thoughts about it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man, it was just, I wanted to talk about that just because I really did think, man, this reminds me so much of what I've been through. And he seems built for it. Like, he's on Twitter being like, essentially, I said what I said. And, it probably also helps that, it's blowing up, like it's getting so many views and stuff. But, honestly, I think about that, and I think about the attacks that, or so online pushback that I got, and I'm like, it's just gonna be even bigger. It's got, because I didn't have I don't know how many views I had, because I fucking turned everything off at that time. But whatever the amount of views is that he's getting for this, there are people that are in that red pill incel culture that are going to talk about his family, that are going to say things on his social media, that are going to write his podcast, that are going to harass him or try to dox him. That's the world that we're living in. If anything, that part has gotten worse, not better.
It has. And as somebody who, particularly the thing that hit the most was when Black women are having a good time, how, a random ass nigga just pop up out of nowhere. I remember this happened years ago. Something, I don't remember, it was an album of Beyonce's birthday or something like that. This happened years ago, and on Facebook, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna post a bunch of Beyonce pictures. And even in the caption, I was like, don't come over here starting no bullshit. And like seconds later, and I was like, nigga, why are you over here? And they was like,
second later, what?
Somebody came in there and was just like, I don't like Beyonce. I didn't ask you. Don't care. Right. Why are you here? And I specifically in the caption, nigga, it said, if you don't give a fuck, keep it going. Nobody asked you to be in the goddamn room. And so that's the shit I'm talking about. It's just something in niggas. I don't like Beyonce. Nigga, I don't care. I don't care. And it's one of those things where it becomes very frustrating and very irritating for shit like that, because it's all entertainment. You know what I'm saying? Like, and what's so sad, I'm about up at the point, y'all got time to argue with this nigga, but you ain't got time to fucking vote. You got time to waste time and energy, dox somebody, investigate, go be a fucking journalist about shit like this, but you don't know who's running your state. You don't know who to vote for. You don't want to find out truth about that. And that's the shit. A lot of this is the goddamn distraction from the reality of, you don't want personal responsibility for what's happening in your life. You feel like everything is out of control. And so instead of you saying, hey, I need to get grasp on this, I need to figure out, I need to place my feet on the ground and fucking stop spiraling, you do shit like this to continue to waste time, because you don't want to take a personal accountability and responsibility and look around and be like, what can I do to make things better? You rather waste hours online arguing with him about something at the end of the day that doesn't fucking matter. I'm not trying to be funny. He's not a goddamn politician. He's not an elected official. There's other more important shit that you can waste time arguing about, shit that would actually impact your life.
Yeah, I think another part of this equation that's not being discussed is that a lot of the commentary back at him is also at this point been essentially monetized. So when I said this, there were people that probably genuinely disagreed and stuff, but then there's people like Dr. Hotep or whatever that I'm sure was like, I'm going to use him for content. He just wanted to use what I had to say to try to get some views, right? He didn't really give a fuck about me. And it was so amazing because I had muted or whatever, I didn't see that conversation at the time. But I remember something happened. I don't know if Elon Musk changed how blocks work or something. Or anyway, something happened and I started seeing people still like replying to that tweet. And I had, since I've been deleted or whatever. But what was interesting is that dude, Mr. Dr. Hotep, whatever, that dude had added me so many times sharing his video, meaning I was only content. He didn't give a fuck about what he was like. Ooh, I got some bites. Some people like this and replied to this, and all these people are replying and they're tagging me and saying vile shit to me. He didn't give a fuck about me as a black person either, you know. But it's just interesting because it's content. So now, when you look at Deontay Kyle's replies, it's a lot of blue check black men who are doing stuff like this for content. And of course, blue checks go first under replies. Blue checks send Elon Musk a check, a monthly fee, so that they can get that higher engagement. And when I tell you, you look under here and it's just some of the people that are just trying to get as much traction out of pushing back as they can.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, it's just been interesting to see, because I don't think you can have this conversation online. Like, the clip is the clip. If you agree, you're gonna share. If you don't like it, you're gonna share, and people are gonna argue until it gets more and more attention. But I don't think it's possible to have these discussions anywhere but a long form situation like our podcast or something like that. Because if you put it in a clip form, it's just feeding into the same algorithm that you're hoping would change something. And it's not going to be seen as educational or understand. It's going to be seen as an attack and just part of the gender wars and stuff. And I think that's what's ultimately going to happen to him is brothers that don't want to hear this shit are going to ultimately group him in you're just part of the gender wars, whatever it takes to dismiss him, and they're not going to listen to content of what he had to say, which is what I found when it was me. Very only people that already agree with me really was coming like to be like, let me share this. And then there were a few people who listened to the podcast long form who were like, oh, I see what you're saying. Like, oh, I didn't get it when I read the tweet, but when you explained it on the show, I get it. But that was few and far between compared to the amount of people that were like, just, you know, it only takes a second to call me a motherfucker, a bitch, or a simp, or whatever. And so they just did that instead.
Right. And a lot of times at the end of the day, there's no good faith. And so because of that, that's the foundation of the whole conversation. And like you say, a lot of people make money off of gender wars. Like you said, they make contents off of gender wars. Like it's whole podcast off of gender wars. And so when you look down there, you're attacking the foundation of how a lot of these people make their money and make their living. So they feel like, hey, dog, you can't be out here because guess what? You talk, somebody will actually listen to you. It might not be a large percentage of people,
right,
but somebody might actually listen to you, and all of a sudden they unsubscribe, they unclick, like all of a sudden they unplug themselves from the matrix. And I need every single follower, I need every single view, I need every single click, and I can't have you quote unquote fucking up my coins.
Yeah, and like I said, I appreciate what he's saying. I don't know everything about his show and everything about him. I'm sure that there's something he said that people probably do disagree with, or you know, some language or something he hasn't perfected or said the right way for other people to like it. But I'm not one of those people. I'm totally fine with like you communicate how you communicate, and I think his heart seems to be in the right place. Every time I've seen a clip of him, I've been like, cool. And I think if nothing else, if you're listening to the sound of our voice and you're one of these people like this motherfucker right here, he's making it worse. Fine. Here's what I would ask you though. Do you not appreciate the balance? Because if nothing else, how can you not be sick of the representatives of us as black men in the media space having such vitriol for women in general, but also very often trafficking in extreme, like not just misogyny and like misogynoir, like extreme. Like you, to me, I don't. If we live in a world where people can say free Tory Lanez, then this dude's 3-minute clip of his podcast is not a problem,
right?
Like if that's like, because the one thing is existing and always getting the views, and there's not enough pushback on it. You know, that's when everybody wants to turn into I'm not a lawyer. You know, when the hip hop blogs are covering Diddy like he's winning that trial, you know what I mean? Like, I don't see how you have an issue. I don't see how you have as equal an issue here when three of the top black hip hop blog podcasts, and probably more if I think about it, are helmed by men who have legitimate issues with women in the way they handle their business, but also legitimate accusations that have been leveled at them, talking like sexual assault, physical abuse, sexual harassment at work. And these are our representatives who are talking about our music, and people don't seem to have as nearly as much a problem with them, because it's like the longer they stay around, the more we're just like, I guess it's okay.
Right.
And somebody who didn't name any names, didn't call out anyone personally, just comes in and says, hey, when you're looking around and you're seeing Free Tory, when you're seeing Cassie just like doing drugs, she was into that shit, when you're seeing that type of rhetoric and you're not questioning it, and it's coming, and the people that are co-signing it and big upping it and agreeing with you are the same people who think George Floyd died by car exhaust fumes and telling you they need to free Derek Chauvin. That's what that congresswoman believes that said free Tory Lanez. Mm-hmm. That's what she believes. So like, that bigotry puts some strange bedfellows together, and to have a voice that's questioning that, and that's the guy we want to harass or put on the Summer Jam screen or accuse of being an op, it just feels weird, man. Like, I'm not saying, I'm for the record, I'm just making a joke or an observation. This is not how I feel, but Pop the Balloon is more of a op than this dude to me. And I'm not saying Pop the Balloon is like some, like, we can't fuck, but like,
right,
if we're just talking about exacerbating gender wars and norms and making us fight each other, like, there's a lot of people I had to go down the checklist before I really get to this guy. But, you know, maybe those are my biases talking, because I tend to agree with a lot of what he's saying. And you know, I think he's making valid points, and I just hate to see that we haven't really gotten further in the social media space in the 10 years since I said that shit or so. And if anything, it seems like it's got worse. Mm-hmm. Like, I probably would have got it worse if I said that shit today.
Of course. Yeah, of course. And back then it was a lot. And as somebody who, it didn't happen directly to me, but I was impacted by it. My perspective on these things, like on some of those things, I have a very harsh stance, because all jokes aside, the average person, I'm not trying to be funny, y'all. Y'all don't have enough followers. You're not really online. You're not really nobody. And so nobody really cares about you blocking one of your 100 followers. Nobody really cares about, you know, something go viral and make it 100 retweets or likes. That's like a big day for you. Nobody really cares. Nobody's following you. Nobody's actually looking for you. Nobody actually really cares what you have to say. The average person online. So you never understand why people do what they do, because you think, well, I'm just one person, versus the millions of people that are going at one person. The brain and just people aren't designed to have a lot of people coming at them at once and being able to decipher who's good, who's bad, who's not, who has good faith and who doesn't. You know, that's what the algorithm does. That's what the internet does. And so, you know, for me, it's like fighting water. You're not going to win. The water will eventually drown you. And that's something that I had to learn. And so for me personally, I'm online, but nothing like I used to be, because I've realized, all jokes aside, it's just a cesspool. And so when you realize it's a cesspool, but it's a cesspool that you're in and you're never actually going to get out. If you have a social media account, and even if you lurk, you're still in the cesspool. And so, you know, you have to figure out, how deep do I want this cesspool to go? To my ankles, my toes? Do I want to completely consume me? It varies to you. Like I said, it's a little bit of drugs or a whole lot of drugs. At the end of the day, it's still a drug. And so, because like sitting back and thinking of some of the things that were happening to you, child, I wanted to burn the world down. because I love you very much. And I'm like, how dare you fuck with my husband? How dare you misinterpret my husband? My husband would never do these things. But I had to learn, that it's not worth the time, the energy, nor the effort. And at the end of the day, nobody's mind was being changed. And just like I don't know them, they don't know me nor my husband.
What does it say about the fragility of our of the story we tell ourselves, that one brother getting off message is enough to cause this much backlash? You know what I mean? Like, it's just his fucking opinion, the same way it's just the opinion of Kevin Samuels, right? But there's people that will go out of their way to bend over backwards and be like, well, Kevin Samuels, not everything he said was bad. You got to hear him out. Sometimes these women do be blank. But it's kind of funny that, like, this dude went off message on a couple of clips that you saw, because people do not push back on him this hard when he talks about white supremacy or racism and the government and shit like that. But as soon as he started talking about something that benefited or at least had empathy for black women, it became like, this man needs to be excised from the community. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not saying everybody, obviously many people support, shared it, love, and
right.
And honestly, like, so there were a lot of black women who were just thankful for, like, somebody sounding like they made some fucking sense.
Right.
I always said, like, the Shits and Gigs dude showed how thirsty and starved black women are for just brothers that aren't pushing toxic shit about black women. Mm-hmm. And it's not that they ultimately were like these great dudes. I always say, use this phrase, doing the reading. The vast majority of people of privilege do not do the reading, right? Like, and I think that's everyone that's if you are privileged in most areas, there, I guarantee you talk, even if you're a good person, if you're an ally, even if you speak, whatever it is, you probably still ain't trying to turn it into work, right?
Right.
And I get it. This is not me chastising people. This is just facts to me. Mm-hmm. So I don't know that he's done the reading. He may have. I don't know that he's done the reading. You know what I'm saying? I think on one of the books on his shelf was Mamba Mentality. Kobe Bryant accused of rape. Like, this is like, so I'm not, and this is not me calling him out. This is me saying, like, he seemed like he just got a good heart and his mind is in the right place.
Right.
That should not be a threat to people. Mm-mm. But we're treating it like it's a threat. And when I think about, like, I just finished reading that God Save the Queens about black women in hip hop, essentially. I finished this book yesterday called Grown by Tiffany D. Jackson. It's about a 17-year-old aspiring singer who basically gets like a R. Kelly figure that comes into her life and tries to, like, and just abuses her and shit, but obviously the message is about, the community that allows an R. Kelly to exist, not just the R. Kelly or just the girl or whatever. It's the whole of it all, the industry of it all. I've made a conscientious effort to read certain things about black women specifically because I want to know, and I don't want to just, like, I think that's why you get into these platitudes where dudes talking generalizations, like black women don't have thoughts of their own, like they didn't write them down, like you can't read them and find out yourself, like you can't listen to a podcast talk about it or something without the defensiveness, without the hostility, without the I need to shut this down, it's making me feel bad. And in that way, that does remind me of privilege. And when you think of privilege, it always goes back to whiteness in America. And white people don't like to be feeling uncomfortable. That's why they attack. They don't like when we're saying Black Lives Matter. They have to come up with a slogan to equal and opposite.
Right.
And yet we would interrogate that in them, but they don't interrogate it in themselves necessarily, not in mass. And this is an area where I think it is not equal, but it is parallel. It is related. This idea of like, well, I don't need to actually read anything about these black women. I don't need to like examine myself and my biases. It's the people making me feel uncomfortable that are wrong. He's wrong because I feel uncomfortable about what he's saying. He's saying men can be better. That's not love. That's an attack, And I'm like, I guess I just was raised a little bit differently, you know, because I think part of not just correction, but part of love is to be like, I can see better in you than you can see in yourself sometimes.
Yeah, somebody believing in you. Yes.
I'm not telling you you're the best when you aren't the best, but I always see the potential for you to be the best. And I'm not just using this as a cudgel to beat you down. I'm not moving the goalpost on you. Some of these things are such simple things. And if you're doing them, congratulations. I'm doing them too. And I'm hoping that we continue to do them. Like, I'm here out of love for you, but I just don't know that gets communicated online. So, I'm not. Oh, go ahead.
And also, it's one of the things for me, and just us having this conversation is making me think. It's funny how just a lot of people, you know, how we talk about MLK and how great of a man he was and things like that. Sometimes I think about people in history, and if these people were around now, how people would shoot their ideas down and how people would basically tear a lot of the things that they were doing for the good or greater of the community apart. And I know, you know, there's books and things like that people didn't agree with, you know, MLK and all these things about, you know, how they did things. But with the way it is now, a lot of the things that these people accomplished, they would not have accomplished in the age of social media, because people would not have even allowed them to do these things for the betterment of the people. Because everybody thinks that they know what's best for the people, when the average person is so selfish and so self-centered that the community is the last thing they actually think about when they, you know, when they think about, and not all, you know, those reasons to say this, but it's very frustrating when something happens and then a man goes, well, I love my mom, I love my sister, I love, we go, okay, nigga, but they related to you. What about, not trying to find it, what about the bitches that ain't? What about them?
Yeah, what about the bitches that ain't? Exactly. Because we respect these women. No, but seriously, I think it is. Yeah, I don't want to talk in circles about it, but yeah, I think it's a real issue, and I think it's kind of interesting to see like what is allowed to exist for people, because what I notice happens, and I think a lot of brothers notice this as well. If I were to be like, yo, this person beat up this woman, they go, that's not a real man, or that's just him, why are you looking at me, or whatever. If I go, okay, well, statistically, the stats for intra-racial domestic violence are astounding. Black women are targeted more than any other demographic in America. Well, I don't be hitting no black women, I don't know nobody. Okay, so what are we saying? This don't exist? We're just gaslighting these women? Nah, you didn't really, because that's why people are, to me, that's what leads people to be not trusting. That's when it's us saying, hey, the cops are sometimes doing wrong things to black people, and then people going, I don't know no bad cops. Well, it's a force full of these motherfuckers. Somebody got to know somebody. Right, like maybe people ain't trusting you with it, but somebody doing something.
Right,
it don't keep making the headlines because it's not happening.
Right, like,
so what do you do with that?
Right, like I said, nobody has a rapist, but these people keep getting raped. Come on, now, make it make sense.
But yeah, anyway, I appreciate it. It's late. We're not gonna do any other segments. I'm gonna let the AI put the ads wherever it wants to put them.
Wherever it may.
Yeah.
I took a nap, y'all. I'm sorry. I was tired.
Yeah, but you know, I kind of did want to talk about this because I just hadn't really, because I know other podcasts are going to talk about this, and a lot of them are going to go in on this dude or dismiss him or say he's pandering or act like it's an attack. And so I would like y'all to hear another perspective that's not that.
Hey, baby, pander to me. And that's the thing. People act like pandering only supposed to happen to certain groups of people. Pander to me. You know, that's just like when it comes to voting. Pander to me. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I guess I think, okay. I don't want to label him as that, but I hear what you're saying. It is interesting that our culture decided that serving black women was somehow corny and bad and wrong and the easy way out. And I feel like that conversation goes a little further than just a podcast and the radio and shit. But our culture definitely did decide that at some point. Like even R&B motherfuckers sing more about like to dudes than they're singing to women. And I don't mean they sing like I want to fuck the dude, but they're singing to you like I'm gonna take your girl. Like that's a weird thing to sing. I came to the concert with my girl, and you're not trying to sing to her to seduce her and all this shit. You're rapping to me and whatever. So something did change in our culture in my lifetime where it does feel like it has become bad to see women as an audience, right? So I don't think you're wrong there, but I'm just saying I wouldn't even group what I'm hearing. I'm hoping it doesn't even sound like I'm just pandering.
Agreed.
Because I've heard what I would consider to be like dudes that pander, and once again, nobody does the reading. You can tell, like to me, it's easier to tell when somebody's just pandering. Because they are saying the platitudes and repeating like what they see online and just like it's just let me go find a black feminist Twitter feed and just read y'all what she wrote and pretend that I came up with it, you know. So I would hope he's not doing that, but I definitely understand your point, which is if and I was thinking about this too as a podcast. It's crazy people don't see that as a good business model. Just even as a cynical capitalist idea. Black women spend way more money. They're way more supportive. They're way more likely to listen to you.
We're trained to.
But the pressure on black men and society at large to fit within a certain box and have a certain attitude about women is more overwhelming than the potential of making money. Just even if you were pretending to like black women, it is more important for them to fit into this box of like, nah, I keep it real and I'll tell these women some negative shit about them.
Right. And before we go, let's take it back to Target, because I look at this, how black people spent a lot of money at Target. And when that audience left, Target is feeling the burn. And the thing is, racism is irrational and illogical. This misogyny stuff is irrational and illogical because, like you said, the potential to make more money, you don't care about that. Target's potential to keep their money and make more money, they didn't care about that. The racism cause or the misogyny cause or whatever was greater than the potential of you making more money off of an audience that is underserved. And the thing is, and it's always shocking, particularly with like black and brown and other people, we're always underserved. And then when we're overserved, most of the time by people people within their own community, everybody is shocked. Everybody's always surprised. Everybody's always like, oh my gosh, this big new thing. And people go, this is shit we do in our community. We grease our hair all the time. We always wear head wraps. But because you ignore us, like with Rihanna, when Rihanna came out with Fenty, all of a sudden everybody got 5,500 different colors. But before her, it was you had to be a home chemist for makeup and shit like that. And it becomes very frustrating. It's amazing how people can see the difference in Target, but they can't see that difference with like
I know brothers that to this day have not found a way to truly succeed with their content and their podcasts and stuff. And they try every trick in the book. But at the end of the day, it's like, look at how you talk. Look at how you talk. You think black people are just black men. That's it. And that's who you want to serve. And which is, if that's what you believe, that's the gamble you want to take. That's fine.
Right.
But understand that you're at that point, you're talking to a small percentage of black people, and not small, but you're talking to half of the black people.
Right.
Then you're cutting that down by probably, because if you don't talk nice about women, you probably don't talk nice about gay people. Then you got children. They're not listening to your adult content. So now you've cut it down even smaller. And then on top of that, you're cutting it down to a group that some of them not going to agree with the shit you be having to say. And lastly, they don't support shit.
They don't financially support.
You don't have, a lot of these dudes are not going to support a sea of dudes that are just shitting on women. They can go get that for free anywhere.
Agreed.
So now obviously I'm talking about a cynical point of view where people would just be pandering and they wouldn't really believe any of the shit they're saying anyway.
Right.
But like, I think one of the secrets to the success we've had is that this is a place where black women can listen. And I don't say it in any like pat me on the back way. I just mean I'm actively thinking of black women as part of our audience when we do a show. And you're thinking it because you are a black woman. And I don't think we're the most like left wing, most progressive. I don't think we're the most like trigger warning. We're gonna like. I think we're just two niggas talking.
Right.
So it isn't this like space of like pandering and all that stuff and saying the perfect thing and the feminist proxy that I read. It's not that. We're just actively trying not to be toxic towards Black women.
Right.
And people be like, how y'all been making the list? That's part of the reason. When you go look at our demographics on our stats, it's like 51% women, 1% non-binary /other, 49% men. And I'm proud of that, not because I'm like proud on some like, I'm just proud of that because it shows a balance to what we do.
It shows a balance. Yeah.
And if you make a cookout where everybody can come and enjoy themselves, then everybody gonna come and eat. But if you make a cookout that's only designed for one or the other, you gonna get people, but it's not gonna be the same amount of people and they won't be able to coexist with each other. Agreed. I love when we do a live show and that space of people that is all kinds of people.
Yes, it is.
But when I see how many Black men, Black women are in there hanging out together, and it's just the opposite of what it is online. Yes. And they're not coming there to listen to us like try to find some way to shit on somebody. Like they're just hanging out, having a good time. That's the space I always picture in my head when we do this show, and I think it's come to fruition. So if you're a content creator or something and you're not getting those results, close your eyes. Who is the person you see yourself talking to? That's why.
That matters.
That's a big part of why, and how you talk to them and what you have to say and how you value those people. But anyway, the long tangent, but worth talking about. I don't even know what we'll name this episode. But shout out to Grits and Eggs. Shout out to the people in the chat for this late night edition. And I guess shout out to the Pacers for taking care of the Knicks. They're up 3-1 now. Looking like Pacers Thunder, y'all.
Right?
Who saw this coming?
Who knew?
But yeah, until next time, I love you.
I love you too. Mwah.
Bye, everybody. Have a good